evening and welcome to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. We are live on Family TV, also live on Family Radio where the music does the talking. The WhatsApp number to use and text is from is 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316, on Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316, and let us get to know what is making headline in our country and across the globe today. So I'll start with what I say is good news. So today, as much as 5 cases have been reported to test a positive of COVID-19, it is the first time this week that we are recording a low number. That's the lowest this week up to now, from Monday until today, recording 5 cases and bringing the total number of positive cases in our country at 184. And during the press briefing that was being given today by the CS for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, he said that in the last 24 hours, 308 people have been tested, and out of all this number, only 5 turned out to be positive. We have 3 Kenyans and 2 people from foreign countries, and he also pointed out that the 3 cases were in Nairobi and the 2 others in Mombasa County. And he gave us some good news. Today, 4 people were discharged having tested negative, while before they tested positive. So they have been treated and they have recovered from the COVID-19 virus. That bringing the total number of people who've been discharged to 12. And that is good news. And apart from that, we also have 1 person who succumbed to the COVID-19 virus in the last 24 hours, and now brings the number of the total number of people who have died because of COVID-19 to 7. So let's listen up to the CS Mutahi Kagwe.
In the last 24 hours, we have tested a total of 308 samples, out of which 5 people have tested positive for the coronavirus disease. 3 are Kenyans, while 2 are foreign nationals. And 3 of them had traveled, 1 each from Tanzania, and 1 from the UK and 1 from the United Arab Emirates. 3 of the cases are in Nairobi, while 2 are in Mombasa County. Only 1 of these cases came from mandatory quarantine facilities, while the rest 4 were picked by our surveillance teams from contact lists. This now brings the total number of those who have tested positive for the disease in the country to 184. The ages of the 5 new cases are between the ages of 39 and 77 years old.
Well, clearly the surveillance team that has been put on the ground by the government and the Ministry of Health is doing a great job, because only 1 case came from the quarantine facilities that we are having across the country. That means the other 4 are from our local communities. So that calls for us to be more vigilant even as we interact with other people across our places of residence, and also across our counties and our villages as we interact with other people. But as much as people are putting measures into place, and we have people wearing masks, people are washing their hands and maintaining hygiene, we still have a number of others who are not doing this. And he pointed out that boda operators have not been adhering to the measures that were put across by the government and the Ministry of Health. And one of these measures is to make sure that they have the protective gears, that what we call the PPEs, masks included. They're saying some of the boda operators, and especially across the country, Nairobi, Kisumu, any part of the country, they're not observing these rules, and they are still carrying passengers beyond 1. It was given out directly, and it was a directive actually, that the boda operators can only carry a maximum of 1 passenger, but some of them are not adhering to these rules, and they go to an extra mile of being used to transport people across the restricted areas. That is in the counties of Nairobi, Kilifi, Kwale, and Mombasa. The border operators are being used to move people illegally in and out of these restricted areas. Listen up.
Border operators are not fully observing the directive not to carry more than one passenger. And we have made it clear, if you disobey that law, your border will be taken until further notice. So there is absolutely no reason why you would want this to happen. You are also supposed to be wearing masks, which are now quite available around the country, and the ones we have distributed around the counties. We have also noted that they are the ones being used to flout movement restrictions into and out of designated counties of Nairobi, Kwale, Mombasa, and Kilifi. Let me remind you that we will not hesitate to introduce stiff measures in this regard. We therefore encourage all compliant operators to compel their colleagues to observe the already set measures in order to protect the businesses that will be messed up by those who do not obey the law. So border operators, the chairman, you have been told again and again that these are the measures that are supposed to be observed. And unfortunately, when you close a sector, you don't close a sector and say only the bad people are going to lose business. Everybody loses business. So in this regard, you are your brother's keeper. Ensure that that the next border is obeying the law.
Well, clearly, it has been pointed out that if they do not obey these laws, that then not the few that are flaunting it will be carried, but the whole sector might be forced to be closed down. And for that reason, if you're a border operator, just be your brother's keeper. He also raised concern about a sector that is very much crucial when it comes to our economy. The Juakali sector, the Mamamboga, we have the salons and even the barber shops. He said these are some of the areas that people are not taking note of the measures that have been put, including wearing masks, and these are the places where social distancing is not taken into consideration. He said these are some of the areas where this virus could spread easily and fast. And if these operators do not take into consideration some of the measures that the government has put across, then they might be forced to take some extreme measures. This is what he said.
So I am appealing. Those of you who are carrying out the hair-cutting business in barber shops, in saloons, I am appealing to you today that ensure that social distancing, fumigation of your working places, masks are used at all times. The idea of people sitting, waiting inside your premises, sitting together very closely, waiting for their service, that is just a problem. Because as they sit waiting, this is where the virus is working at its best. Ukiendelea na kazi, na mtu anakuja humjui, na anachika mboga, mnazungumza na yeye hana mask, mwingine atakuja na mwingine atakuja. Kijiji nzima inapitia hapo, na wewe mwenyewe huvai mask, na ukai bali na mtu yule mnazungumza na yeye. Hiyo ni kumaanisha ya kwamba ikiendelea namna hiyo, wewe utapata hii virusi. Basi tukifika hapo, watoto wale ulikuwa unafikiria ndio unashunga saa hii, au watoto ndio utawaasha peke yao. Hawatakuwa na mtu wa kuwashunga.
Well, clearly, If you do not take care of yourself, you are endangering the lives of your children, your community, and millions of Kenyans. And as the CS has pointed out, we all need to be careful. And he said something else during that speech. Treat everyone as if they are positive of the virus. That way, you will protect yourself. If you know that you are the only negative person, think of it that way. Everyone else in that market is positive, so protect yourself. That way you will protect your children and the whole community in general. That has been the CS Mutahi Kagwe, the CS for Health, giving us a brief of today. And we hope that tomorrow is going to bring good news. But for now, we have Agnes who is saying, "Hi, Sarah. Young people are not taking this situation seriously. How can a group of young people, how can a group of youth steal an ambulance to go partying?" Yes, this is according to the local media houses, and they're saying that a report has been put out that some of the young people called for an ambulance to go partying, and this, of course, is against the rules, and they're going to face the law, that we may say. Thank you so much, Agnes, for tuning in today. Remember, the WhatsApp number that you can use and text me from is 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316, on Facebook and Twitter at Family Radio 316, and join the discussion today. Well, in the morning hours, we had the Deputy President, William Ruto, addressing the nation. Yes. And then he said that the government is doing enough, is doing and putting measures to make sure that Kenyans are protected from getting more cases of COVID-19. This is a pandemic that hit our government, that hit our nation, and we all need to take part in protecting ourselves and protecting the nation from getting this pandemic. According to the Deputy President, the best possible way of protecting yourself and protecting your loved ones is staying at home. Apart, of course, from some of the services, the essential services, and they were clearly put out in the Gazette notice. These people are advised to take shifts in their places of work and only go to work when necessary. But everyone else, the president advised that if you can stay home, then you better do that, because it is one of the best ways of preventing this virus from spreading. This is what the DP had to say.
Fortunately for us, defeating this virus, which has occasioned so much suffering, mayhem, and disruption on a scale never witnessed in recent history, does not require the nuclear bomb, mighty armies, or jet fighters. Simple behavioral and hygiene measures, such as avoiding handshakes, washing hands with soap, sanitizing, wearing masks, social distancing, and staying at home, simple as they seem, guarantee us a decisive blow against this deadly virus. This is why we urge those who can work from home to do so, while those who must work in factories, offices, business premises, and such other areas to meticulously exercise social distancing. Employers should adopt a shift system that enables staff to work at different times of the day or on different days to minimize congestion in workplaces. And unless it is absolutely necessary, and with compelling and extraordinary reasons, the rest of us must stay at home.
Well, clearly, if you do not have a compelling reason to be out of your house, then the Deputy President advised that we must stay at home to protect our country and ourselves from getting the COVID-19 virus. He also said something, and the Easter weekend is approaching fast, starting tomorrow, and the only way that we can protect ourselves during this time is staying indoors. It is our culture that when we are celebrating the death and the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ, we always want to celebrate with our communities, in our churches. But this year, it's going to be different. And the Deputy President says it is advisable that we stay indoors. This is what he said.
Fellow Kenyans, I address you at a time like no other time in our memory. This year's Easter is going to be drastically different in many significant ways, but it's a message that remains the same. After the trial, sorrow and gloom that comes with the crucifixion of Christ on Friday, there is assured hope that rises with the resurrection on Sunday. Our current situation has brought us its share of tribulations and heartbreaks. But what a better time for us to consider our blessed hope in the Almighty God for the assured victory ahead. Though we are going to celebrate this Easter weekend differently, we must remind ourselves that Jesus was persecuted, betrayed, crucified, and that he ultimately died and was crucified and was buried. But he triumphed over death. His resurrection is the reason for our hope of eternal life. I call on the Christian community to lift up our nation in prayer this Easter period. And I equally ask Kenyans of all faiths to commend our nation to God's unfailing mercy and grace for us to overcome this daunting pandemic.
Well, he is calling on the Christian community to make sure that we commit our country unto the Lord. And like he said, after every darkness, it will surely get to dawn. And after this pandemic, we will have some glorious news to say. And this one was also retaliated by the CS for Health, Mutahi Kagwe, who said we should all remain in our estates, in our homes during this time. Because he says it is only a season, and if we take measures into place, then we will be talking a different story come next year, and we all want to get to next year. Yes, and Mwangi is saying, hello there, thank you so much for the show. I am watching from Kayole. It is good to see the Deputy President up with some good news after such a long time. Let us all pray for our nation. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And you can also share with me your comments, what you feel about the speech of the Deputy President and also the numbers in our country. 0786-316-316. That is on WhatsApp SMS line 20316. Hey Sarah, my name is Whitney. I'm listening in from Busia. I'm really enjoying the show. May God bless you and protect you from this virus. Thank you so much for your message and for tuning in today. We also have Michael from Kisumu who is saying, say hi to all the listeners and viewers and send them my greetings. May they be okay. You're listening and watching in from Uyoma in Siaya. Asante sana for tuning in today. We also have Beth who is saying, indeed, it was nice to see the Deputy President after some time. And as he said, we all need to stand in the gap. As Christians, we should stand in the gap for our country, for a better tomorrow. Thank you so much, Beth, for tuning in today. You can also text me. The WhatsApp number is 0786-316-316, SMS line 20316. Wearing a mask might be mandatory right now. And you might be in for a rude shock if you go into the CBD of Nairobi or even get into a supermarket without your mask. And they're saying this is a directive that was given by the president himself. And Kenyans are doing their best to make sure that they have masks. But what about these people who are just not wearing masks for one reason or another? What will happen to them? And according to the Central Region Coordinator Wilson Jenga, he said that they might be forced to use extreme ways of making Kenyans wear the mask. As it was pointed out by the WHO and the Ministry of Health, it is one of the ways of preventing the spread of COVID-19. And a directive was given. It was literally a request, like some would put it out. But if this directive is not taken in properly by Kenyans, then you might be arrested. It might lead to your arrest or even being given a fine if you are found loitering around the CBD or any part where there is a congestion of people. Even entering a supermarket right now might be restricted if you are not wearing a mask. Apart from it, people, apart from all the restrictions that can be given by the government and the security officers, wearing a mask is for our own good. We should just try and make sure that we live and adhere to the instructions that were given, lest we be arrested or even be given a fine of thousands of shillings. And that is something that we can avoid altogether and stay safe and also save that money. We also have people who are complaining of the quality of masks. Others are trying, yes. We've had people being creative with the masks. Some are just making masks out of pieces of clothes, and the African wear is like the in thing right now in the streets of Nairobi. You will come across people selling masks that they have made in their own homes. People are being creative. But we have also had the masks that are recommended by the government and the Ministry of Health to be used by Kenyans and everyone who is moving around in public gatherings. But others are complaining. The masks, the required ones, are too expensive. That is their complaint. So they have to balance between the tough economy, fending for their families, and at the same time having quality mask to put on. This is what they had to say about that complaint.
Hii mask nilibuy 100 shillings, lakini nasikia inafaa kutumika 3 hours. Ndio unarudi unatoa mask unatupa. Sasa hii 3 hours mimi mwenyewe chakula yenyewe sijakula. Randro ndio anataka pesa ya nyumba.
Maski hatujapata ile ya daktari. Tunapata hii ingine inatengenezwa na watu. Lakini tukiangalia ni kama ni kitambaa tu peke yake. Na tunaona hiyo kulingana na vile tunaelezewa. Hiyo kitambaa ni hatari, hata afadhali ukae namna hii.
Now the risk that now follows is that people will try to continually adjust them because they want some space for breathing. And as soon as you start touching, remember that the hands are also becoming one of the avenues that this virus can get to you, because you are constantly touching other services as well. So if you continue touching services and then you keep on having to adjust your mask because your breathing is being constricted, that may also introduce risk of you getting infected by the constant touching of your face. For people that have smartphones, if you download an app called KEBS official app from Play Store, you just go straight to the first page on that app. It gives a way for you to verify the validity of the permit, and that it does by you just inserting the permit number. It will give you instant information on who is authorized and to produce that particular product. If the person is not authorized, at the same time it's going to be able to advise you. If you do not have a smartphone, you can do that by texting SM#, then the permit number, and in a short message form, send it to 223. You are going to get a response that gives you the details of who is authorized to make that product. If those details agree with what is on the package, then you can know that is a certified sanitizer. The same thing will go for the mask as well that have claimed to have been certified by KEBS.
Well, the masks that you are using should be certified by KEBS. That is the director. That is the managing director for KEBS. That is the Kenya Bureau of Standards, Bernard Gumo, explaining of some of the ways that you can identify a genuine mask and a good one that will protect you from getting the COVID-19 virus. He also pointed out something, that those people who will be arrested and found making counterfeit masks and just trying to milk money out of Kenyans' pockets, especially during this time that we have the pandemic, then action will be taken against them. So if you're making these masks, please make sure that you adhere to the regulations and the measures that have been put by KEBS, because yes, the directives are very clear and all the quality should be of the right, it should be of the right quality even before you use it. And just to protect yourself, make sure that you have the right mask to protect yourself. We have been having a certain headline, and I saw it yesterday, and it said that 17 members of parliament have been tested and confirmed positive of COVID-19. Well, turns out this was fake news, and it was circulating in the social media and even in one of the headlines of the local dailies. published out there, and Kenyans freaked out. Some said that if this is true, then why are we not being told so? And some of the members of parliament actually came out to say that this is just fake news, information being passed to the public that is not true, and this is causing panic. Some of the members that came out to give the right statement included the majority member in the National Assembly, that is the head of majority, Aden Duale, and also his counterpart, John Mbadi. And they said the names that were being given out for the members of parliament are fake. Listen up.
What is not in order is to throw names of even members who I have spoke to who have not even been tested, names of members who their results is to the contrary, names of members who are not even in Nairobi the last 2 weeks. So that is very reckless, it's very irresponsible.
I know the 17 members of parliament is outrageous. You can't have a test of about 50 MPs or 100 MPs. You have 17 of them positive. That would have been captured and flagged off by the ministry very quickly, and the government, and the executive. And they would even say that we have tested MPs and a number of them are positive. So there was irresponsibility on the part of the reporters, on the part of the media house. I think they owe Kenyans an apology. Not just MPs, but Kenyans an apology. I was tested on Saturday. The results came out yesterday. If I was positive, you would have not found me here. I would be in hospital. I would be receiving care as of now. If I was positive, I would just come out publicly and say, because I don't see why Kenyans should stigmatize and look at this disease as if you get it is a death sentence, and as if those who get it have committed a crime.
The ministry is aware, and we did see the headlines reporting that there are cases, positive cases of coronavirus in Parliament. And what we have to say on this matter is that as it stands today and at this time, we have no formal official reporting of these cases to the Ministry of Health.
And we want to protect the elderly members. We wanted to protect members who have medical conditions. We want to protect all our members. So at any given time, the quorum for the House is 50.
Those have been the representatives from the National Assembly pointing out that the information that has been put out in the public is fake. And that reminds me of a discussion that we were having earlier this week about the spread of fake news. So make sure that you do not fall victim of fake news. And once this information gets to your table and where you are, even through your tablet, your phone, and even through the newspapers, you confirm fast before you even pass this information to the next person. Atieno is saying, hello, Sarah, thank you for the show. I had the story of the 17 MPs, and really it is sad because I have a relative whose name was pointed out in the newspaper that he was positive. This is sad. Kenyans should stop stigmatizing people even before they are infected. That is someone who was directly affected by the fake news that was spread even in the dailies, and this is sad. We should all stop the spread of fake news. And again, confirmation of information. We have reliable sources. As much as the president said there will be random testing, this was not right and is not true. So let us wait for the right information every day from the president and even the Ministry of Health, because they are very much courteous enough to give us the information. So yes, let us always wait for the right information. And talking of members of parliament, Botswana's president, his name is Mokgweetsi Masisi. He has been quarantined along with all his cabinet members and the members of parliament for Botswana. Reason being, the nurse that they interacted with and was testing these legislators tested positive of coronavirus. And for that reason, the president and all the representatives, all the legislators from Botswana Parliament have been quarantined. And they will be in isolation for 14 days, and that is according to the Botswana Congress Party leader Dumelang Selashando. And he said he confirmed that this really happened, and for that reason they are all going to be under quarantine and observation for the next 14 days. Remember that that country up to now only has 13 confirmed cases. And with this development, then they will surely be put under quarantine. And that is a good move. So again, before we subject our leaders to fake news and spreading information that they are positive of the virus, consider those that already are suffering, like the country of Botswana. Other countries have their leaders already in quarantine because of the COVID-19, in isolation. This is stigmatization. And if one does not have the virus, it is only fair that we do not spread information that they already have the virus. Remy Kipchirchir, asante sana for tuning in today. You're saying it is the first time I'm hearing that news from you, Sarah Otieno, on the 17 MPs who are allegedly said they had coronavirus. I didn't know that was fake news. It is, and it was fake news. It's really a big shame of what has become of our social media sites. They are propagating fake news and might hurt and ruin the lives of many people and families. It is our duty to speak and preach the truth as Christians, being on such social media platforms. Good evening to you. And you're saying how am I coping? I forgot to mention, I know your hours were cut short. Yes, and we hope that things will be okay. And thank you so much for reaching out, and we really bless the Lord for that. John Maina from Mala, you're really blessed and encouraged whenever I listen to the programs. God bless you abundantly. I would like you to pray, and we will pray for you on that note and the prayer requests that you have sent in. Thank you so much for tuning in today and for sending in the prayer request. We shall pray together. We also have Jacob Mbolu, who is listening in from Salama Makueni. Asante sana for tuning in today. And Whitney, I can see you typing. Wacha tuone what you will say about these stories. But in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in today. Since Monday, the president directed and mentioned that we have restricted areas in Nairobi, in Mombasa, in Kwale, and in Kilifi. So these areas are restricted. So there is no movement in and out of these restricted areas. This is for the next 21 days with an aim of curbing the spread of COVID-19. And especially travelers were complaining that these borders were too tight. And what I mean by too tight is that they are restricting movement, especially for residents around the area that the border has been put. A good example is what happened in Kamulu. And right now we have had police officers and those in charge of traffic moving the border from Kamulu 15 kilometers to a place known as Tala. This is because these people in the Kamulu area where the border was put before complained that it is a very much restriction, especially as they are moving about their daily businesses. And according to Matungu Sub-County Commander Kip Kimboi Kurui, he said it is a move that they consulted with their bosses and those in charge of the transport sector. This is what he had to say.
We moved the roadblock from Kamulu, not Kamulu, really, the Adi Bridge to here, Koma, because of it is densely populated and there are so many vehicles. So we discussed with our bosses from Nairobi, whereby they told us to move back to Koma. It's about 15 kilometers from the Adi River.
Kuna kohoa, homa, koo inauma, hakuna. Anyone who is traveling in and out of the sub-county, we are taking a history, the name, the phone number. We are also checking the temperature and also ask the screening questions, history of travel, history of contact with someone who is positive, and also asking about the symptoms.
So wakati nimefika hapa, ofisa akanijulisha kwamba nitarudi, nimekuwa na kiwewe. Lakini nikabidi nimwongeleshe na hatimaye ameniruhusu, lakini akasema lazima nitapimwa. Hii kupimwa nimeona ni nzuri kwa sababu unajua hatuwezi jua, hujui umekutana na kina nani, saa nyingine tumeingia katika matatu.
Well, indeed, they are doing a great job there and having medical officers in the same border areas, the boundaries that have been set up, then that is good news. Taking the information of people who cross between the sub-counties, that is a good move. That means we will keep track of those who are moving in and out of the restricted areas. Your name is Caleb. Caleb is saying, thank you so much for the program. I bless the Lord for this is the day and for always highlighting us. Asante sana na Mungu awabariki. Akubariki you too and your family. And thank you so much for tuning today. Whitney, I have received your message about the song. Don't worry, I'll make sure to forward this to the relevant authorities. Asante sana. And you're saying, my mom really loves this song, and I just want to thank her for she has been praying for the country during this crisis. Thank you so much, and stay blessed too, my dear. And let's move on to a certain issue that is a bit critical. During this time, most of the people are looking for entertainment and passing time on the internet, online platforms. There are so many, and content creators are out there to entertain us. And even as the president directed that they will be given a certain amount of money, then we have a lot of people coming up to make sure that they entertain people, leave alone just entertainment. Some of us just want to air our views and what we feel about this virus on the social media platforms. But during this time also, it is the time that bullying online has become extreme. We're having so many cases of online bullying, people complaining of how they were mistreated because they posted a video or an audio or even a message on their social media platforms. But have you ever sat back and thought, before you write that insulting message to someone, have you thought about the effects that it can have to him or her? Have you thought of the next person, the person who is going to read that insulting message? Have you thought of what they feel? Of the effects, and especially right now that we are fighting a pandemic together. Benjamin Zulu is a psychologist, and he explained on these effects to a person.
You are not the bad person. It's the bully who is the bad person. It's them whose life is collapsing. It's them who is in trouble. The volcano they're stewing in, the hatred they're stewing in, you have nothing to do with it. They poured it on you because you happen to be a convenient target, a soft target, somebody they can hit and they won't be hit back. Some people are narcissists. Some people are sadists. They wanted to inflict pain and they feel some pleasure out of that. They are sick mentally. The guys who attack you, I'll comfort you that many times they're below you. They have achieved nothing themselves. Let that console you, that if you had nothing, they will not throw stones your way.
Well, the ending statement, I love it. Let it console you that if you are nothing, they will not throw stones at you. But again, I would like to talk to you who is writing that insulting message. Just be mindful of the person who is next door. Be mindful of the person who is going to read that message. And that way we will reduce the number of online bullying that are increasing, and especially this time. The other day, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson was moved to the ICU. And trust me, I have not been to the ICU myself, but I can clearly tell that life there is not the best. Talk of isolation. And especially with the pandemic, if you are moved to the ICU because of the coronavirus pandemic, then that is a nightmare on its own, despite the fact that it is a healing process. People who have been through that path and have came out victorious are saying that it is not easy. There is a story that was told by one David Hunt. David was a victim, and he was treated in the same ICU where the UK Prime Minister is at right now. And he says it has not been easy. And right now he's recovered. He's been home for a whole week. And he is praying that no one else passes through the same experience like he did. This is his story.
For me, that was it. I was like, really thought. So I called my brother and gave him a password, told him where my will was. I had a 15-inch, hose pipe in my mouth. I couldn't, talk. intensive care is not a fun place, to be. You see people die. It's absolutely horrible. I sell software for a living, right? I'm not a nurse or a doctor. And you see people just getting wheeled out, wheeled in. I just wanted to get out of that place. They removed the tube, which was a horrendous experience. I still couldn't talk, my throat was swollen, I still had a feeding tube in my nose, 10 tubes coming out of my neck through like the main injection there.
Even when about to be discharged, the pain went on.
I've seen things, even in my last ward, there was a guy diagonally opposite me. I saw him take his last breaths, so it has affected me mentally. And that's what really annoys me when I see people out and about just not taking it seriously enough. Until you see somebody physically take their last breath without a friend or a family there, it's horrendous. It really is.
Well, from these stories, that is when you know that we should all take care of our health. When we hear stories of people who have overcome, saying of the hardships that they have been going through, then that is when you and I just need to take care of our health so that we do not reach there. That has been the story of one David. But there is also some positive news, So here's another story of one Geneva Wood. Geneva is 90 years old. And this lady was admitted in hospital for having stroke. And after being admitted for quite a number of days, the hospital was put on lockdown because of the COVID-19 virus, forcing her to extend her stay in the hospital. And even without noticing, she got the COVID-19 virus while in hospital. And she knew her life is gone. Her life is ended. She was 90, and according to the scientists, they're saying the elderly people are the most vulnerable. The doctors had given up on her. Even her family members came to say their last goodbyes because they knew Geneva is not going to make it. Then she says the one thing that kept her going is her faith. Sometimes as Christians, we just assume of our Christianity and our faith. But Geneva is saying God was with her. God never left her side throughout this time. Even as the doctors and her family members had given up on her, she never lost hope. She wanted to fight, and especially she remembers one night where really she experienced the hand of the Lord just telling her to push on, and she decided to push on. And as a result of that, she is alive and she tested negative of the COVID-19. There's also something. A nurse brought her a Bible and she was reading her favorite scripture daily. That is strong faith, and that is what kept her going. And this is her story.
Stubborn, headstrong, but loving, generous, but just don't mess with her.
You just lay there and you cough, and it comes from your toenails up.
Her oxygenation was going up, and so by the time I left late in the evening, she had been kind of converted to comfort care, and we had sort of decided that she was going to pass, and that's what the family wanted, and that's what she did, and the lights were out.
It was very painful because I knew that I was not going to live, and I didn't want to live, and there was no hope. There was my family on the other side of that window, and I couldn't touch them. I wanted them to be proud that I could still push and win, and I did. And I'm still fighting, and I'm still pushing, because I still have a lot to live for. I could feel God's presence. His hands were on my body, and I could feel his presence. That I wake up and I could feel his hands. And I went back to sleep. And through the night, as I wake up, I couldn't see his face, but I could feel his hands. And I knew he was with me. And I made it through the night until you felt the God's presence and his hands on you. God is always there. And put your trust in him and lean on him and give your life to him, and you'll make it. But you got to not give up hope and fight.
Well, clearly that is good news. And we just have an example in Geneva, 90 years old, and she overcome. And her final words to all those who are battling this pandemic is that God is there. If she felt the presence of the Lord, then you can also feel it. And God heals. You not need to give up. Do not give up, because she says if you hold on, then he will come to your rescue. I'm leaving you with that today. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. Keep safe and keep hygienic, because I want to see you tomorrow.